You said this is a mission wall.
Yeah, this is a mission wall. The
Okay.
wall of mission, the things that we do in the community, and things we do in Zimbabwe, Africa.
You got a well over here.
Yeah, this is the well. When the wells that we built four so far in Zimbabwe. This is a church that we helped our local church build for the individuals in Zimbabwe. At first, they were worshiping in this under this little tent. My pastor went over in '01 and decided that we need to do something for them. So we started building this this church. And this is actually inside the church. This is the first time they ever seen lights. This is solar panels. We put solar panels on top of the roof so that they can see light. But this is what we helped. We didn't do this ourselves. We helped our church accomplish this. My pastor had a vision for just $10 a month that we can put towards finishing the church. And this is some of the stuff that this is called suzzle. That's the food that they eat. It's something similar to oatmeal and things of that nature. And that's them being served. And things of that nature.
Okay.
And this is the first one, Mr. Erickson. This was like when I first started in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first interview he did at the other shop, and this is 2009, 2 years later. Started off because I spent 8 years in prison. When I got out, it was hard for me to find a job. So I was introduced to my pastor, who started teaching me about manhood, about different things about life. Trying to go around and find a job, and it was hard for me to find a job because of my record. So I started doing a lot of work and stuff around the church. Me and my wife, we were working with the youth, and we decided to send the youth to a youth conference. So I came up with the idea, let's have a fundraiser car wash. So we went to Pizza Hut, and we did a fundraiser. So we saw it was successful. So we were riding back leaving the volunteer car wash we did at Pizza Hut. Me and my pastor, and when the minister rode by this building, I'm like, which is my first location, the old location I had, and we said that'd be a nice place for a car wash. About a couple weeks later, and I was walking from church one day, and I walked in the building, and the lady was talking on the phone to her husband and telling him about how bad of a job the guy was doing that. And she got off the phone, and when she got off the phone, she just came on and said, would you want to run a car wash? I'm like, what? I'm like, sure. And ironically, it's the same building that I was thinking about getting for. A couple weeks later, we came back by, and I actually saw someone else at the car wash where I thought would be a good location myself. I'm like, man, every time I get a vision, somebody else does it. So anyway, I went back about a couple weeks later, and I was walking from church one day, and I walked in the building, and the lady was talking on the phone to her husband and telling him about how bad of a job the guy was doing that. And she got off the phone, and when she got off the phone, she just came on and said, would you want to run a car wash? I'm like, what? I'm like, sure. And ironically, it's the same building that I was thinking about getting for. So anyway, she said, well, let me talk to her husband. So she came back. I came back a couple weeks later. They said, if you can come in tomorrow and we can see if we start. So he said, when I came in the next day, he said, do you think that you can run it? I'm like, yeah. He said, it'll be $500 a month. I'm like, man, I ain't got $500. I said, well, if you give me the opportunity, I can make it. He said, go ahead. So anyway, I went out there, I started. So, I struggled at first. I had this, all I had when I started was a Georgia detergent that I got from my mom's house, a water hose that I borrowed from one of the kids when we did a fundraiser, and a bucket that I borrowed from one of the kids. That's all I had, and a paper sign that said car wash. So I started there, and I learned years ago about the way you tell if something clean if there's no dirt left. So I continued to, that's how I learned how to clean cars. So I started doing that, and people like